Hello and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is Dave and I will be your keeper of arcane lore for this session of Call of Cthulhu. Today we are continuing our playthrough of Regency Cthulhu, and you can get your own copy of this book over at chaosium.com. You can find all of our VODs collected over on the Chaosium YouTube channel, and if you are watching there, we do stream live each Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Twitch. No, I think it is 4 at the moment. I think the UK changed on us. And we change in like a week.
No, we change tomorrow.
Okay. Well, you can technically, if you have
we are still 4 p.m. at
you're
the
right,
moment.
but technically by the time it goes on YouTube. Okay,
yeah.
How do I boot art from the call? And let's get
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. We will not. I refuse.
We'll fix time zones in post.
We will nuke it from it. I want to give a thank you to Roll20 and Sirenscape. Tools to choose to improve our game. And without further ado, let's return to the scenario at hand, where we find our investigators gathered outside of the Northlake estate. You've had a chance to meet the charming Northlake cousins, have a little look around their library, have a discussion, and find possibly some more allies in this fight against the mythos. Obviously, we are down an investigator this week. Miss Jane Radcliffe has had the sickness that she has been fighting against. Her recovery is kind of crept back up upon her, and Mr. Potterton, she will request that she returns to your home so that she can rest for the... It's already getting into like afternoon, so it's completely reasonable. You had some other things you wanted to get around to, but she would ask that she can take the carriage and return early. Beyond that, I'll pass it to the three of you to introduce your investigators and then to tell me where you'd like to go. Let's begin with Art.
Hi, I'm Art. And it took me way too long to open all of the correct tabs this morning to remember who the fuck I was and what the fuck I was doing. So that was gonna be a time. I am playing Reverend Samuel Jennings, a preacher of some renown at this point, I think, or at least of the same level of renown that he was when we started this whole shindig, because his reputation's gone a little up and a little down. He's kind of where he was at the start. Has recently found a potential ally in Diane, was it Northlake? Diana, who is investigating the same strange occurrence. Diana, awesome. And has just uncovered information about a bizarre ritual involving some strange symbols at cardinal directions and a weird fountain of ichor, etc. And it's starting to be slightly concerned about what we're going to find under the tavern.
Oh, well, speaking of slightly concerned, let's pass across to Jim.
Yeah, just slightly. I am Jim. I'm playing George Potterton, still the most eligible bachelor in town, and while Jackson/Jane is away, probably even more so. I'm a wannabe mythos investigator inspired by Captain Stone, and I'm very happy to take Jane back to rest. I think that we're going to go past the tavern, so I assume that she'll take the carriage and I can follow and get back home afterwards, and we'll sort that out.
You've got a separate horse that you can take, or you can join the others and they can deposit you home, whatever you need.
Excellent. That sounds perfect. Fun piece of trivia, actually, very quickly before we jump in. I believe that the reason Jackson's gone today is because he's fallen into a deep sleep and can't be aroused. And life imitates art.
It's strange. Someone should check on him.
Yeah.
Oh, life imitates me all the time, Jim. Yeah. I understand.
Well, speaking of a fun piece of trivia, let's go across to Alex.
I've got nothing for you.
Damn.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm playing Miss Emma Wentworth, her only sister in the Wentworth family, which is certainly not something that she and I are both dwelling on consistently, intently, and using to fuel target practice. My goal in all of this is aligned with my dear fiance's insofar as we are dedicated to looking into this to protect the town and also vengeance.
Hey, it's a valid strategy.
Yeah, also, fiance's me, just not the Reverend. You get it. Just to be clear.
Fantastic. All right, tremendous. So we
Wait,
these are.
You mean we're not? You and I aren't? Oh, my bad.
That imitates life.
Hey, look, I didn't want to publicly announce it just yet. I was kind of, like, just sneaky under the table. Because if we publicly announce it, everyone's going to want to come.
The harem.
Like,
the harem. I'll harem.
I do actually have one of those, and I'm not kidding. I have about 6 wives. It's great.
I have 3 of them.
I do not understand how that works, and I don't need to. All right, so jumping back into the scenario at hand, the 4 investigators are gathered out the front of the North Lake estate. Jane graciously accepts the loan of your carriage, Mr. Potterton, and as she hoists herself up and gets comfortable, she tells you that she will just return back to the estate and she will see you this evening. She hopes she will be well enough again to join for supper, but if not, she'll see you in the morning. Beyond that, you mentioned just before we started the stream, Jim, that you wanted to get some supplies from the caravan. Do you want to describe what it is that you're fetching? The Reverend has a carriage of his own, pulled by 2 horses. You can join them. It's large enough to accommodate you in the rear. Or you can remove one of the horses from this carriage, and you can ride it. It's a little ungentlemanly, but it's not crazy.
I think I would like to remove one of the horses if possible. I think Jim, and therefore George, have sort of a fantasy of yeeting off on horseback. I can squeeze a cavalry charge into this somehow, and that's very gentlemanly.
Pulling out your ride school.
Yeah. It's decent. As decent as any other of my combat stuff,
which are good. Yeah.
You know. Okay. But I have a sort of a covered large heavy bag that I've put in the back of the caravan, and I move it across to the Reverend's caravan. This is containing various bits and bob pieces of equipment that I and the remaining sister can use to inflict pain, misery, and suffering on creatures that may or may not be able to feel them, depending on how eldritch they actually are.
Yeah, so it's weapons and sundry, right?
Yes. So there would be my actual sword. There would be a couple of pistols, and I think probably 1 good rifle or something like that.
Fantastic. All bound up, tightly secured, and then probably lightly hidden away. It's in the back, like a secured section of the carriage.
I think it probably looks like spare clothes, I think, just for because what can you justifiably have in the back of a carriage? It'd be like, oh yeah, this is if for some reason that we need to change clothes for whatever reason, and
it's underneath the spare tire.
Yeah.
Perfect. So and then from there you can also retrieve a saddle from it and begin to click that into place, and you will all see Mr. Potterton to be a very competent rider, where Miss Wentworth has expressed a completely valid, as far as I'm concerned, fear of horses. Mr. Potterton does seem to have the beast in hand.
They can sense fear.
All right, from here I'll pass it to the 3 of you. As Miss Radcliffe departs, and as Mr. Potterton finishes securing his things, what would 3 of you like to do?
So the tavern's the plan, right? Yeah, I think
yes. I think
pretty much.
We can eat.
Yeah, have the chest right there.
And the mystery or whatever.
Secondary. And I'll like dither about it. I'm so glad that Jane is getting some rest. I'm truly amazed her constitution has stood up as far as it is, and sort of just throw compliments into the ether as I trot alongside the carriage.
Exchanging a glance with the Reverend.
I think in this instance, it would be like there's a real placidity when this conversation is happening that I think you would note, Emma.
Yeah.
In that, like, it's very clearly I'm not, like, it's not an obvious, like, I'm avoiding it, but there's I'm just not engaging with anyone about it in a very sort of like, oh, just chill, disinterested kind of vibe. But Emma would know well enough to be like, you're not meeting my eye on this? What's going on?
Yeah.
Because that was very much when both of us were like, what a ridiculous situation. And now the Reverend's like not acknowledging that it's a ridiculous situation. The
2 of you would have the opportunity to speak privately if you wished it. Mr. Potterton's going forward and backwards.
I don't think this is the right moment to bring it up, because I don't really, I'm happy for like Emma to know, or like, you know, our characters to kind of between us acknowledge that there's something that's not being said, but I don't think it's appropriate at this moment to say I think that this person is a fraud, because I don't think the Reverend also thinks that. I think he's more concerned that there's something dangerous happening, that she might be like under duress or something like that, hiding something. So
I know what a lie smells like.
Yeah, so I think if
we both know that something is not right there, and we're just not going to be joining in on the compliment fest. We're going to abstain. Whether that's noticeable or not is.
And I think that even if I'm unwilling to admit any suspicions I might have, the lack of engagement means I double down, so it just gets really awkward. And it's just the whole time I'm basically just ranting until we finally arrive at the tavern. And
the one thing I'm going to ask before we arrive at the tavern is, Mr. Potterton, I'm going to ask you to make a spot hidden roll.
Why, certainly, I'd be very happy.
Or natural world. In fact, I'd favor natural world of the.
Okay, I'll make a.
Because I think you have some, don't you?
I do, yes. Natural world coming up. 3, 2, 1. That is a success.
Tremendous. You might want to change your name across as well when you get a moment.
Excellent, yes.
So, you saw that the strange gentleman you saw at the front of the tavern had evidence of traveling through the Pendlehaven woods, and as you're riding along during one of these awkward lulls or forced sections of conversation, you're casting your eye along the woods. You can see there's a number of paths that go up and into it, and as you get to one that's a little bit wider than the rest, seems to be a bit more significant, and will be traveled semi-regularly at least, or loosely maintained, you see a little knot of like dried flowers, herbs, and sticks that have been bound roughly with twine and then hung from branches on both sides of the path. They're just sort of like loosely fluttering in the breeze, and you can see evidence of a couple more of them continuing along down this path. It's only because you were kind of thinking about the woods and looking along here that you notice these as basically not part of the surrounding fauna, something that's been adapted. At this point, I'll also ask you to make an intelligence.
Certainly. Intelligence roll made, and also succeeded with a hard success.
Oh, tremendous. You are from this area. You are aware of a woman that lives inside these woods, affectionately called Old Meg, who functioned as something of an apothecary or like medical expert before Dr. Parsons, before Carlton, the current apothecary, who's now like kind of forgotten by the wayside. A bit of little sort of old knowledge style. She's basically forgotten and not really. She kind of does her own thing. You have never met her, nor had any real reason to discuss it.
This is I'll slow my horse and say, a Reverend, a moment, because I know the Reverend has some knowledge of occult things as I'm gazing at those bundles, which maybe indicate the path to her house. I'll relay this information and then quickly add, if we do think that the sleeping sickness is linked to some kind of ritual or some kind of practice inherited from early history, old knowledge might be a good way to get at it.
Oh, I'm not originally from the area, am I?
No.
I'm from. I think my character sheet just says born elsewhere. Away. So, yeah, that's very helpful, useful information, Mr. Potterton. I agree with you. I think, given that we have reason to think that the woods may be one of these points of interest, paying a visit to someone who knows them better and would know local folklore and history, yes, certainly.
Miss Radcliffe, could you stomach a delay and diversion to the Yep.
Jane is Radcliffe. I am Wentworth.
Yes, that's right. Sorry, I
awkward.
Clearly have something on my mind.
Yeah.
Miss Wentworth, could you stomach a delay?
If I must, I wonder if she makes scones.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll be some kind
Which
of...
direction is this in? Sorry, Dave. Like, where are we going past?
This would be heading east into the woods. Let's have a little look now.
As in, like, towards Stornley House?
So I'm just gonna nip us across the map here. I've returned Miss Radcliffe on her horse. She'll be heading up ahead of you and traveling home. You are all just at this little turn off here. It's actually marked. It's actually marked on the map as.
That's that bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I, for some reason, thought we were coming from a different direction, and we're nowhere near the Pendlehaven Woods, so
the
that
North
makes
Lake Hall
so
is
much
this one
sense.
here.
Yeah.
Actually, Miss Radcliffe might return the other direction, going up through Bungford, so that she can go past your apple, and then that way she doesn't need to go through Tarryford. It'll be a little bit quicker.
Please, coming through Upper Tarryford.
Is that right?
Whatever makes people who attend the chapel most comfortable, they may call in the chapel.
Well, yeah, let's head into the... I suggest we do this now. I mean, otherwise we're going to have to pass down relatively... Like, we're going to have to make a significant detour. So we hope that the...
What time of day is it?
Which makes scones.
Heading towards afternoon, still sun high in the sky. This diversion, unclear what time you arrive in Tarryford, but you might be getting into night now. By the time you arrive.
The arrival in Tarryford is not what concerns me. What concerns me is the time of day when we enter the woods that may or may not be housing those rather unsavory gentlemen that we met at the tavern.
Yeah.
Not but a few hours before, a few hours previous. Hence is after. I can't remember what the fancy word for before is.
Aft.
Prior.
Yeah, prior. A few hours prior. Yeah. So that one. Yes, if it's I would prefer to do this during the day, and we can always get to the tavern later, or reassess and go to the tavern like tomorrow. Doing it while the sun's up, I think, is a sensible plan.
Yes.
It'll be less, someone hiding behind a tree trying to stab us.
Yeah.
I mean, they can still try, but we might actually spot them.
Red hot go.
Yeah.
Potterton,
Hasn't taken into account crossbows.
Yeah. Potterton wheels his horse back around and begins to trot up this little path and heading.
Is there enough space for the small carriage, or is this like a walking trail?
So as you begin to think that, and Reverend, I presume you have the reins as man. And also because Miss Wentworth has said,
or there is someone who rides.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say, look, if
you might be getting to a point where you're not bringing assistance because you don't want people getting exposed.
I don't think I would have
borderline dodgy shit here.
Yeah, well, unless either of you have more points in drive carriage. But then, Reverend, as you begin to drive carriage.
Yeah, I have base drive, so I think I'll be at the helm, but I'm making the horse go vaguely in the right direction. I don't really have much more control than that.
Potterton can wheel the horse along and begin to walk it up the path. You, with your skill, don't want to risk the carriage. You're like, oh, maybe, but you don't know where you're going to be able to turn it around is part of the concern. So you move it off to the side and begin to park it. As you do so, you see evidence of tracks in the side of the mud where it seems someone else has come to the same decision. And as you then help Miss Wentworth down from the caravan, you can see boot prints where they've been pushed in, and then someone has then gone out of the mud back onto the path and begun to walk into the woods. I'll also ask at this point, Mr. Potterton, if you want to immediately retrieve any.
Yeah, I think heading into the woods that makes enough sense. I will.
Shotgun.
Yeah, I will actually put my sword at my hip. I'll put a pistol in my coat. I probably can I just say that I sort of bundle the bag unless you actually want to
tie it on the back of your horse if you want.
Yeah. That'll work. That's fine.
I may just because in this time period just Miss Washington, I do hate to be any kind of imposition, but do you think Miss Wentworth may ride side saddle on your horse and the two gentlemen walk?
No, thank you. No, thank you. Pass.
My dear,
I
you will
really
be.
don't like horses.
Yes, but
They don't like me. I don't like them. We've got an arrangement.
We can all walk at the same pace. I'll lead it. I think might be the best option. We should probably have our wits about us at any rate. But yes, I accepted, and the refusal accepted as well.
I was more thinking, my dear, that being led on a horse while uncomfortable is a lot safer than doing it oneself, and you do have rather keen sight. Having you up a little bit higher might be helpful, but if you do not wish to, I understand.
Okay.
I will not.
It does make sense when you put it that way.
I'm.
It's a fine beast. You'll be quite all right. There's never.
Mr. Potterton, Mr. Potterton has clearly quite a level of control over the animal, and if anything should happen, my dear, it will be entirely my fault, and I will make it up to you however is necessary.
I suddenly just thought it would be cool if like somehow the animals like smell some remnant of the other place on Emma or something, the other dimension, and that's sort of why they're a little uncomfortable. But that
I have simply always been bad at this.
Yeah,
Just bad at it. Just not good at it.
I think they also just smell fear, and I think despite your promises, Mr. Potterton, as soon as Miss Wentworth does begin to drift up it, you do have to do a bit of like okay, all right, hang on, chill me. And the thing's got like you can see the white of its eye as one eye swings around to focus on Miss Wentworth, and then like the hoof's just got a little stompy thing. You can get it settled and get her onto it if you want, but yeah, they just don't like her.
Yeah.
It's
we'll make it work. Addition, one last thing. When we're checking out that just before we head off into the woods, the signs of that carriage. I'm not an experienced tracker, but I do the thing. I get down on one knee, I pick up some dirt, and I kind of, all right. Is there? I'm specifically trying to tell if this looks like it is perhaps a gentleman's carriage. If this is the kind of carriage that I think might have been used by somebody visiting the Old Meg who was kind of wealthy, or whether I could possibly guess that this is the bandits that we think are hanging out in the tavern.
Okay. I'll ask for a track roll here, and if any of you have track, you could assist bonus dice, but I don't think anyone does. Okay. You're pretty sure it's a caravan. You're pretty sure it's a carriage. You don't know much beyond that.
Let's before I embarrass myself further, let's get on the road.
Yeah, and this is our carriage that we're in, so my shotgun is my rifle is probably under the seat. I'm going to make sure that my dear fiance holds onto that one for me, just in case. If we're being armed, then...
Okay. All right. It's definitely making a statement as you arrive, but with a couple of weapons. Some
it can be under. It can be. Part
if you
of the
want,
bag.
you can throw them all on the horse in the bag.
Yeah.
Would be because then you're not
If there's
carrying
like a
them, but you
bundle
have access to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if I ask Miss Potterton if it would be all right if I was to store the rifle on the back of the horse, in part so is an open carry, and in part so it's closer to the person who's gonna use it, because it ain't me. I don't handguns. I just the holy fire.
Yeah. Okay.
Or at least I'm working on the holy fire. I don't think I have access to immolate anyone with holy rage just yet, but withering stare will turn into actual.
With just withering the spell.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Dream. Okay. You stow the weapons on the back of the horse and park the carriage off the side. It's pretty plainly seen, but not many people will be coming and going from here at the moment, you hope. And regardless, you should camp it. Leading the horse, Mr. Potterton walks first. Miss Wentworth just behind him, keeping ample distance from the kicking side of the animal. And then the Reverend just to the rear with, I think you've had a walking stick in the past, like carried with you, a fairly heavy sort of knotted piece of all three of you keeping eyes in the tree line and the path before. You'll see more evidence of these little bundles and trinkets hanging from the trees as you go. You'll also see a lot of dilapidated paths where there would have previously been like a network of roads through the woods, long since given way to moss and rubble. Only one is even loosely maintained, and still you don't think you'd get a carriage up and down it. There's rocks in the way, even the horse needs to sort of pick its way around a little bit. Maybe someone could get like a donkey with a wagon down here every now and then. That'd be about the extent of it. eventually come to a turnoff, and then not in a clearing, but instead in more sections where the woods are beginning to grow closer together and darker, you see a little thatch-roofed cottage with a laundry line strung out in a solitary pool of sunlight. The laundry line is devoid of any clothing, and there is a basket nearby which appears to have been trampled, like it's like flattened in slightly as it's been knocked over onto the side. There's no sign of a person on the exterior, but there is smoke puffing out of a small chimney. Someone is home. No animals in the presence, but you can hear birds and things flitting through the
Is there a garden or similar that I could sort of lean and just have a quick look at as we're approaching the house? I have a little bit in occult and enough natural world, and growing up in the area, I just sort of want to just justify some suspicions I think that I probably have from when I was a child that Old Meg is a witch in my head.
Yeah.
Is there like some St. John's wort, or so the equivalent of something that would be associated with any kind of witchcraft? I can make a natural world or
absolutely.
I love that the one thing that you said as a like herb is used today specifically to help with like period pain.
Yeah, like it's an actual
so like
thing.
essentially all witchcraft was just women's health.
That's hilarious. That is very funny. There you go. Showing implicit ideas in my head. You want to natural world?
Occult or natural world, whichever. There is a little garden patch off to the side. It is not. There is no fence around it. It runs wild and begins to already like crawl up the trees on the side of the house.
I have a little occult. Actually, I have a fair amount of occult now. If I could assist or sort of. I don't know if it's appropriate to do so in this matter.
I'll use natural world. Be happy for me to have a bonus die, Dave? Or
yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
if you can.
great.
If you can
put our heads together. Yeah, that'll succeed on the bonus die.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty apt point that Art made. Old Meg filled a role in previously of easing women's pains as well as just natural remedies for things. It's the bridge between the two. There's certainly things that do have medicinal value. There's also a lot of pieces that do seem to be being dried and sort of like folded into little bundles closer to the esoteric side of things than the practical. But the two are not exclusive to one another. She probably has some legitimate medicinal knowledge. Mr. Potterton, you do have some medical knowledge. You're not approaching this from a place of ignorance. Yeah, you probably see some value in a lot of the things that she's carrying here.
Okay, cool. There you go. So, not spooky witch, if any kind of witch.
You actually got a hard success on that intelligence roll. You do have a bit of people don't go there. She's a bit nutty. And this is quickly reinforced because as the Reverend and Mr. Potterton are having a quick look at this side garden, Miss Wentworth, you notice, you see the door swing open and a crooked little figure moves out with a cane. She swings it up and points it at you and says, "Go on and get out! I made it clear! If you come back, I'll smack you all! Go on and get!" And she hoists her thing across and begins to swing it above her. Clearly furious.
I'm terribly
very
sorry.
limber.
She does toddle a little bit and hold herself up, but yes.
I'll try and diffuse the situation power appropriately. Yeah, I'm sorry. We had a question, and my mother maybe came. I start to try and lean on the idea that I know my
past the side of your head. And whizzes into the tree line behind. She's not you're not getting off a big speech. She's saying, "Get out now." You can try to defuse. Okay. I would need probably a hard charm test from someone.
That's what I'd like to go for. But yeah,
I'm pretty charming.
Can I
and
assist
I do have the advantage of height. Can I just our concern here is less the brigands and more just she's a little different. We want to see if there's anything she knows about the area. Is that kind of our...
I mean, ideally, whether she knows anything about
attacked.
Yeah, currently it's just, Madam, we're hoping to come here and we're seeking your knowledge about something.
Kind of want to be
lead with that.
explicit.
Yeah.
Emma's just going to be fairly explicit in this moment, and hope that her honesty shocks this woman out of the stone throwing and the screaming.
I mean, there are people who are falling asleep, and
people are falling asleep,
and traditional medicine isn't working, and we need help.
I'm going to assume that, and I'm going to make a reference to previous happenings in Tarriford as well. It's going to be Madam, we need your assistance with a sleeping sickness, and given everything else that this town has harbored, we want to seek your knowledge.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and give me a charm roll. This is going to be a straight roll. You're looking for ideally a hard success here.
No.
Okay. As you try to talk, she screams, "I told you if you come here, I'd get you out of here! Go on and get out, you bastards!" She swings the thing around. She doesn't even hear the argument. She's clearly had people coming here previously already that have harassed her. She is screaming you to get back and get gone, and you get the impression that pushing this further, she's not physically capable of actually doing much damage, but she's very pointedly saying, "I do not want you here, go away." Well, she's had some rude visits.
Let's leave. I have to turn the horse around.
Gotta go.
As we're pulling back, though, it occurs to me, maybe she's being harassed by these bandits. Can I potentially apply a bonus die to Emma for the last roll? As we're walking out, kind of do if you have been attacked in the last days, it wasn't us, and we're reporting them to the constabulary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and there we go. So, you may apply a bonus dice. However, I am going to treat this as pushing the roll. So before you hang on, disregard that. It's okay.
But
this
I was
is
going to do it anyway. You know
I know. This is you're gonna re-roll though. So, do you want to take the bonus dice? And re-roll. This is pushing it. This is turning around.
Wait, so
and
I'm re-rolling?
Yes, this will be a re-roll.
But it will be a push. Okay.
Re-roll, and then you can add a bonus dice. This is you turning around, staying in the place, and pushing the thing, saying like, "No, we're not leaving, ma'am. There is more to this. Let us make our statement."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead and re-roll, and then add a bonus dice.
We've got the history of Tarriford, and we've now.
We really need our help. Oh, that's good.
Oh my god. Well done. That's an extreme. Nicely handled.
Good.
This is just the line to tread, and it's also the right person to be speaking to her. She does have somewhat of it. She's more friendly with women than with men. As Miss Wentworth's able to calm the situation down, and then Mr. Potterton advises that you are not.
No, it was George's input that actually turned the tide here. So, maybe while she's typically more friendly with women than men, maybe Tarriford's most eligible bachelor is his reputation.
There's always an exception.
I'm happy to stay out with the horses, though, if that'll get the conversation,
So you say that there is... that you're not associated, and she pauses in the air for a moment, and she holds a lot, and there is a brief brokered peace between the two where you can basically make a larger point and stand in the garden. She's not repeating the protestation to leave, but she is standing her ground, and there's no there's no friendship born just yet.
We're not anything to do with anyone that might have been hassling you. We've come because we need your aid as a wise woman. There's a sleeping sickness. Miss Wentworth knows more.
Yeah. Everyone sleeps. It's part of the ritual. Night comes, people slumber, wake again in the morn. Things repeat.
And they don't, though. But they're not waking in the morning, and some of them are not waking at all.
We think it's part of a different ritual.
Ah. Children slumbering. Take them and shake them. Wake them up. Wake them up.
Adults. Grown men and women.
Sleeping till they die.
Husbands, wives.
Ah. Have they not things to do? Labour? Fields to toil? Wake them.
They do. They cannot be woken. Except sometimes by an entreaty to walk a specific path in their own dreams. It is unlike anything anyone has ever encountered before, and we are running out of options.
Arrogant, nasty woman. Think you're unique. Only one to do it before. Only one to dream of dark paths.
No, I have not dreamt of any dark paths.
Oh, no experience then. Nothing to know of it. Foolish children.
Correct, that is why we're asking you.
Yeah. Want to wake them. Bundles of herbs burned underneath their nostrils. They'll wake soon enough.
Or they'll choke.
All's the same. If you're desperate, you're desperate. Breathe deep. Wake now or then.
We found another way to wake.
Madam, are you familiar with the people known as the Teleri?
There's an old name. What
Yes.
of it?
I understand that the people of this area, long before this town existed, were mystics and people of understanding of powers beyond perhaps what the church likes to consider the Almighty. And I understand that they were fond of certain rituals that potentially involved slumber and walking strange paths. And I was hoping that perhaps someone who knows these woods and knows these lands much better than anyone here present in our party would help us understand whether what we are seeing now could possibly be a recurrence of some such ritual. There are people who are very well loved, and they're dying, and we would like to see that not happen.
Should it be more death? Should it be more than is needed? They're sleeping, and they're not waking.
Two
said
have
They're
have
spoken
died.
to. They're in dreams.
Yes, there are. They seem to all walk the same path of strange black land and Icarus trees, where there is no light overhead and yet they can see.
There's experience. There's one. You've seen it then.
I have not seen it myself, but I have records of those who have. We know a young lady of our acquaintance suffered from such sickness and found a way out, and perhaps helped someone else do similar, but
Yes.
then
Yes.
others could not leave.
Yes, there's
Others-
experience. There's an expert. There's one who's walked that wicked path.
She totters down the steps and begins to walk across towards the Reverend, picking her way through with her cane. As she does, you can see she's, fairly mobile. And as she gets closer, you get this, wafting scent of, burnt herbs. It's not unpleasant, actually. As she gets right up to you, you can see, there's dancing lights in her eyes. She's clearly intelligent, but a lot of it is kind of muddled a little bit and still finding its way out. Definitely not particularly well social. It's trying time. She's clearly fixed on the Reverend now and keeps on pointing to him and saying,
Experience, you've seen it then, or this other one. Bring them here.
They are still recovering from their sickness, but I'm going to take my staff, my walking stick, and I'm going to take a step back away from her and say, "Forgive me, madam. I'm going to draw the symbol, a crude, outline circle with the line through it and the two extra things."
As you draw it, as soon as it gets close to completing, she kicks across it and breaks the symbol. So does it? She gets,
Don't draw foolish things you don't understand. Oh, it's a wicked ash. It's a nasty tree. Ugh, dark thing casts longer shadows than it should. I'll not have that on my garden.
Of course, madam, I apologize. I meant only to show you that while I haven't seen exactly personally. I do understand. I do have some experience, and I want to understand further. Is this dangerous? More so than we've seen.
Of course it's dangerous. Everything's dangerous. Children shouldn't play with swords.
Of course, that is a very good point. Everything is dangerous from childbirth to swimming.
Mr. Potterton and Miss Wentworth, what are you doing or saying?
I would like to very quickly just nudge Miss Wentworth and say, you could tell her you've walked those paths. She's probably not the same ones, but she'll like it.
Oh yeah, I have actually been there, haven't I?
You have. No,
Yeah.
yes, I'm
yes.
waiting for. Yes, I was waiting for the Reverend too, since I'm probably
genuinely
looking around. I was gonna say I'm like
forgot.
scanning the woods around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Keeping an eye out. In that case, Spotting, you mentioned that to Miss Wentworth. You can pass like the nudge to Reverend. Miss Wentworth, can you give me a spot hidden roll as you're keeping an?
If when I get the nudge, I'd probably just mutter as I'm looking around. Just mutter, "We've walked these paths too, dear. All those like them. Spot hidden. No.
You can see evidence that reinforce the idea that the bandits may have been here. The trampled bin. It looks as though laundry's been stolen or something. There's some broken fence lines towards the rear where chickens may have been kept at one point and are now absent. But you can't see people like lurking at the tree lines waiting for anything.
In that case, with that, I will like sort of. I think it's the Reverend does put that out of his mind a lot. Like he actively is like, "Oh, that's a bad thing that I try not to think about too often."
Pretend it didn't happen. Yeah.
But then we'll go. Actually, madam, I do have some experience, not of the land with the Icarus trees, but of dark ground covered in gemstones and headless beings. Just wish to devour those of our realm.
Shh. I'll not speak of those faceless things. Let them stay in the night. I'll
You've
have
seen
the
them.
day. See? Of course I've seen them. Every night I wake screaming I see them. They chase and chase every night. Oh, sure. One long sleep. Aye, that's tough. Try a year.
Do you...
So hang.
You go to the place with Icarus trees nightly. Do you drink the water
you
every
wake.
night?
Water. Yes, that's it. A simple pool. A simple remedy. Not so easily found, but you've been there as long as I have. You'll find it. Don't pick your way beneath those trees.
Did you have any point in this last year where you were not able to find the lake the same night you slept?
I've slumbered. Days. Was a week the first time. No one to feed me. I woke up. Tired. Thirsty. Desperate for water. But I woke. It was the cool liquid that brought me back. Again and again. I'll return there tonight. I know it.
What happened, madam? Do you know what started these dreams for you? We're still trying to understand specifically why these people are falling as they are.
And why some are stricken and others are not, and if there's anything we can do to prevent it, I suppose.
Or
You're
if
not my
there's
first
anything...
guests. You're not my second. Although it's hard to call any of them guests. Nasty vagrants first. Demanding aristocrats second. You're the third, and I sure you're the politest so far, but what do you want with this?
We wish to stop it. We don't want people suffering. We don't want people dying. We don't want anyone.
We don't want those things to have any kind of foothold here.
You want to help?
Yes, very much so.
All three of you, even you, fancy man.
I do.
Dabs you in the chest.
You were visited by the twins. Is that right?
Dark hair, smug.
The North Lakes.
I didn't get their name. They didn't offer it to me.
We-
Nor have you, might I say.
We
Seems formal introductions are only for the nobility and people of note. Not me.
Madam, I'm terribly sorry. That is entirely our own fault. May I introduce myself? I am the Reverend Samuel Jennings. My chapel is in Bungford. I understand that the church may not have been kind to women such as yourself, but I see the value of all souls, and thank you for your time. If you would permit me, I would introduce my fiancée, Miss Emma Wentworth, and Mr. George Potterton of the Potterton family and estate. Your humble servant, madam.
Oh, nice to play it fancy. Meg Cotherington, as you do.
And she sweeps into a deep curtsy.
I give her a very polite and deep bow as a in response, and I will. What did she say? Meg Cotherington.
Cotherington. Yeah. Cotherington. Cotherington. As she does the curtsy and then begins to hoist herself back up on the cane, this is not like, oh, she was once a... No, she's parodying what she's seen.
Yeah,
it's not a good curtsy either. She's kind of got the vibe of, yeah.
But again, she gets a formal bow, and an absolute pleasure to make your acquaintance, Miss Cotherington. Questioning whether it is Miss or Mrs.
It is Miss. It is.
Yeah. And we would like to help. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the legacy of the North Lakes as a family, but the family seems to be attached in some way to some strange goings on, and part of that was last year these strange creatures finding a foothold, entering through a crack in the world.
They found
myself, they found a way in.
They found a way to enter the place you spoke of and bring back, while waking, bring things back to mine and walk, bring cartloads of it.
Not just a crack, not a seam. No, someone's worried at it. Picked the scab, opened it wider. Was her.
He points at Emma.
Was her that did it. Opened it wider and wider, forced it so things that were locked away can get back out.
Me?
You!
I just fell in. I followed my sister in. That's all.
She walks over towards you and pinches at your cheekbones.
You're too thin. You're too thin. You dress too nicely. Sister. Oh, it's you and your sister. It's your sister that's done it. She's opened it wider. She's broken something. Your stupid sister.
I'm gonna slap her.
Very fair.
You slap her across her face and she keels backwards from it.
Oh,
and then
sorry. Did not mean to hit that. I was opening my
pistol.
Go ahead and do
I
it.
didn't use a handgun. I use a shotgun. She'd know if it was using a gun.
She'd feel it.
But as soon as she says something against my sister.
Although that's a different kind of movie. Instead of the slap, it's a...
You slap across her and she
Rock and roll 'em.
spirals away. And now there's a gleam in her eye, and she picks it up. She's laughing. She isn't bleeding. She isn't badly hurt, but just knocked backwards. And she's pointing at you, going.
It was more designed to shock.
Yeah, and she goes,
Stupid! It's her that's done it. Woken that was meant to sleep. Oh, it's all coming back now. Darkness polluting, echo rising. It's her that's given me these nightmares 1 year long.
A year ago.
Well, actually, it wasn't.
She's
It was
paused for a
already
moment.
there. We fell through.
the seam you mentioned, madam.
And you would do well not to speak ill of the dead. Maybe my sister will come for you next.
Dead? You wish she was dead. No, she's not dead. No, stretched thin's more like. Stretched thin. See, the lock needs a key, and it's found a replacement. So your sister's been contorted, twisted into the shape, and is propping the door open. And it's creeping back out. That which was locked for a long, long time. Your sister's the wedge in the...
So how do we close it? We close the door.
What a North Lake sacrifice. That was meant to have stopped it. That wasn't that a lock, a key? Is that what you're talking about?
Can't speak to you of North Lake. Only know about her. Only know about that which was under. Think you're confusing things?
No.
I think perhaps we are, madam. You say that which is under it all, you mean the Teleri, the old magic?
The Teleri worshipped. What that symbol you've disgraced my garden with does. What that ash,
And she gestures down a little path and refers to the distance.
is blocking. That's the real danger. That's that emptiness. That cold you feel sometimes. It creeps up on you. And it finds me every night. What they
Couldn't happen
worship.
to a nicer lady. We should go.
Oh, okay.
We're running in the dreams. I'll trip you.
I haven't had the dreams.
Who would write the symbol? We've seen it. Who would know enough
Get
to
out!
write it?
Get out!
Mr. Potterton, would you be so kind as to escort
You two,
Miss Wentworth?
go, all of you, gone. I'll not speak with
The symbol is
you
not
want to
useful.
help. You want to help, but it's yous that did it. It's yous that did it all. Oh.
She doesn't know anything about the North Lake. She doesn't know anything about the history of what's been happening here. She is unaware of what happened last year. She is not helpful.
Done. Go.
We should.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
She
All she's done is reinforce what we already know. That the symbol is a problem. It's part of it. She has nothing interesting or useful to say.
She basically shepherds you back along the path to the point where it re-meets that larger road, and there's all the branching ones that have been abandoned. And she's not going close, but she's clearly go away. And then she kind of stands there, and as you go in whichever direction you go, even once the woods get, you will occasionally hear a little laugh break out. And you kind of have the impression that you're being monitored a little bit, but she's hardly going to go stalking through the trees to find you.
I might fire for one parting word if we can. Is as she's when she's finally hit the point where she's not following us. I'll say, which way are the people that stole from you? Point them out. Mundane affairs.
Okay.
We can. Tell
I'm gonna need a social test, and it's gonna be probably with a penalty dice here. You just need a regular success though.
Sure, I'll try persuade. I mean, I figure my angle is it's I'm the boring guy with a sword, but this is a boring guy with a sword matter. Nah, penalty. Nah, not gonna matter.
Nah. Unfortunately, she's not even listening to you.
Nah, let's go.
Once you're out of her line of sight, she doesn't chase you further. So if you wanted to, you could try and loop around and find the tracks they may have left. You could also, you got reference to where an ash. She gestured deeper into the. So you have a feel for where that may be, but that's it. You're proper bashing.
The things hanging in the trees.
Yeah.
Do they look like offerings, things that people have left, or things that she has potentially created?
I'd probably ask you to make an occult roll. It looks as though she's made them. You saw evidence of her, the tools she would use to make them. If they're offerings, they're not being taken, and they're laid out pretty symmetrically down the path. It also looks as though they are old, probably preceding a year. These may have been here for some time.
I don't really know what they are. So I worry that...
I suspect that they are the things that are allowing her to navigate these dreams a little bit better and not be stricken by the sickness.
Or she's just mad and there are ways to navigate the woods. It could be something more innate. I have an idea.
I think it's worth taking note of the symbol.
You could
The shape they
you
make.
could retrieve one of them. Just cut one down.
I don't think we should. I think it would be rude.
Okay.
We can note the symbol though, like you said.
Yeah.
They're not. They're more like
The
it's
shape
just
of
that they're
them,
in a
yeah.
bundle and then like twisted out. I guess more kind of like bow tie esque. They're not in like
Okay,
a
yeah.
particularly ornate anything.
Are they a particular type of... They're probably a particular type of plant or
A
tree.
mixture, and there is some variety to them. You see, some have dried flowers, others are
Cool.
composed of sticks.
I've just realized that I actually I thought, are they placed in a symbol? That's what I thought you meant.
Oh
Do they
no,
follow a shape?
they're on symmetrical, and they
Yeah, they're
run.
just-
They're placed occasionally as you walk down the road, and you saw a couple of them around her.
Yeah, sorry. I thought there you go. Interesting.
So
take.
as
Okay.
the three of you are like herded away from Old Meg's cottage down the side of the road, you can take a moment to speak amongst. I'll pass to the three of you, and you can let me know where you want.
I have only one idea I want to share quickly. Ash tree. If there is anything to do with that, I don't think we can go and find her tree. So if there's something special to do with what she's done, but I think with witches and natural magics and all this, maybe there's a chance we can just find ash. It would work. We have a sample of the thing at Dr. Parsons. I say we find some ash wood and check if it responds some kind of chemical reaction. Maybe we can purge it.
I think that's a very good idea.
We should also check around the places where we know the symbol has been drawn and try and find out if, I suppose, if ash... You know what we could do? We have the accounts books of people who have been eating at the pub, who have been exposed and who by all righteousness should have fallen and who haven't. We should check if there's ash that they've been exposed to. I think it would be safe to say the bandits have been because they're in the woods nearby. But if there's anyone else in town, maybe they live near an ash tree or something like that, that could also work.
But if the ash tree was a prophylactic, then Miss Cotherington should also have been protected, and she has not been. I do think it's a worthwhile thought, Mr. Potterton. I do think it's worth checking. I understand that she wasn't very straightforward. She did offer information we did not have.
I mean, it's good to know that the door is being held open at this stage.
More specifically, that perhaps us looking purely at what has happened to the North Lakes is too narrow a lens. That there is something else, something deeper, and the North Lakes just so happened to get caught up in it.
Well, they're clearly using something that existed here previously. We already knew that.
Yes. So
That's
her not
not new
knowing.
information.
So I think we can bring it back to the mundane world a little bit. Someone's drawing these symbols in some way or another, right?
No, I think these symbols were
already been
already
here.
drawn. The symbol
These
in the
things are
church that
ancient.
we saw was old, very old. I think these symbols were carved before the founding of Tarryford, and people are just stumbling upon
Building
them
on
now.
top of them. Building on top of them to use them.
So
Or building on top of them without knowing what it is they were.
The placement of it, though, dear. You don't accidentally do that.
Is it old enough to be Teleri is the one question, because if it's not, then if we can find some kind of material link moving backwards from the, like, I wonder if there's a remnant of a cult or something active in Tarryford today, or even just a single fanatic. I wonder if speaking to I've forgotten his name, but the nobleman who is particularly religiously inclined
Ashford.
might be able to help us find people who could have.
He's also
You
with
are-
the Lord Northlake past. He's the kind
Yeah.
of judiciary. He's kind of the leader, I suppose, of Harryford.
Mr. Potterton, what you speak of is heresy.
I suppose
What we've seen is heresy. What we've experienced is heresy.
Yes. but more, I'm not sure that anyone...
We may have to readjust our expectations.
No, of course. I'm more meant I'm not sure anyone in the town is necessarily going to be forthcoming about such heresy. If they're involved, and if they're not, then they would want to keep it... If they're involved, they would want to keep it well hidden. If it was known that people were acting in such a way, that the church would already know about it.
Wrap it in a larger heretical plot, maybe. Blame the Catholics, something like that. I don't know.
Why not?
I mean, as much as I understand the schism of the church, I don't think we quite want to set fire under the Catholic, under Catholicism in general. They are fine people in their own way.
Well, then, I don't know what our next... I suppose the tavern. We'll head to the tavern, see if we can find any evidence for any links to what's been said, and yeah, we know now that the water, it is the solution. So...
We already knew that.
Well, we had Jane's guess that she is smart. I trust her.
I think your
Yes, I know.
inclination towards testing Ashwood is a very good one, Miss Potterton. I think we should explore that further, almost certainly.
Ash can't be too uncommon. If we could find a tree at some point, or even a sample, or even got some furniture made from it in Tarryford, we can probably compare it to the sample and see if it has any results. But
I would...
think into town at any rate.
Indeed. I'm sure there's a carpenter in town who would be able to tell us whether...
Oh, do either of you know what an ash tree looks like?
I have enough natural world. I probably know the approximate shape of an ash tree, right?
Yeah. I think that's completely reasonable.
We are in the forest right now.
Yeah. Is it possible? Can we find an ash tree on our way back into town?
Are you looking for an ash tree, or what seemed to be... She had like a capital A and you know, there was one she had in mind. When
Hers
she was referring to
specifically...
it.
I also want to just, like, from my read of it, it's not an ash tree she has done anything to. The ash tree is a capstone on top of whatever this is, keeping it in.
Oh my god, that's a great idea. It could have grown literally over the... That's...
Yeah.
That's why that
seems
ash
to
tree is,
be-
and it's now leaking out. Whatever the ash tree was growing over and trapping is now leaking out because the doorway is open. The
What
ash
if-
tree
so-
was a prevent... I like the idea of testing ash. That tree, for me, read as the way she was describing it, and that's why I was like, no, we are getting new information here. It's a capstone.
We should get back to my estate as well. I think that it's very reasonable to say that the reason that Jane fell asleep isn't because she was maybe connected to the tavern. Maybe there's probably a capstone in the tavern somewhere. Maybe behind the fort wall that they're breaking apart. And the...
Or there's the well. There's the fountain.
Yeah.
Remember, the ritual was four symbols in cardinal directions, or four somethings in cardinal directions, which we assume to be these symbols, and in the center, fountain that they use to usher themselves elsewhere.
I was just kind of thinking that I sort of had a suspicion, which we absolutely have no proof of, that we'd been disjointed one. I was suspecting that the middle fountain was actually another capstone, and one of our ideas was off. But I don't quite know why I was thinking that.
I mean, that is possible, but the fact that actually we don't... Let us go and see if there's a symbol on your estate, Mr. Potterton, because our characters don't know that yet, even though we do.
Jane did not tell us.
I think we got an idea that there could be one. Though
I think Jane did imply that there may be.
What happened was Jim Potterton had a bit of a flashback and remembered seeing something in an old house.
That was it, Mr. Potterton. Yes,
yeah.
That's right. You've seen the symbol before in your summer house when you were very, very young. That was it. So yes, you do believe there may be one.
So there is no way for... The only way for your estate to have one is either if the fountain is on the other side of your estate, meaning like opposite to Tarryford, or it's in Tarryford, because there's no way that that would... Because your estate is specifically east.
I see what you mean.
One of them. It has... if all of
It
the
should
like
be, yeah.
linings come up, it kind of has to be either Tarifid or it has to be the same distance as Tarifid on the other side of your estate in order for your estate to be.
You've seen it elsewhere as well.
Yeah,
You've
there's
seen
more
like
of
the
them.
Stornley house, which is
So we
that
have-
number 5.
Moorview is the Potterton.
That's right.
In that case, it must be Tarifid because there's only one place in the center of those two.
The center could be a little vague. Like you could rotate things and even from that, right? Like they're not
Again,
perfect.
the ritual said cardinal directions. You can't really rotate things if you're talking about east, direct east and direct west, direct north and direct south.
Yeah, I suppose.
I understand your point, and the best way
Those are
is
the
to go
two
and
ones
check.
that you're aware of.
We suspect there is one in the Pendlehaven Woods in some ruins, because we know that there were
Yes.
ruins in there as well, and maybe that's what the ash is involved in if there are ruins around there.
Probably what the ashes were
And then
over.
there's a solid chance the other place that is much easier to potentially search is the Sand Lake Farm. So we can check to see what's
That's
in the
all this
basement.
area. The Sand Lake is.
Yeah.
Okay, that whole thing is the farm? I thought the like bit at
Yeah.
the end is the farm.
All those are all farming. Each of those squares is farming land across it. One is where their house is.
I see. Well, I would take a gander at saying we might start in the house or a large barn, but yeah, there's based
I'll also mark
on what
that and you know that the tavern is right.
Right in the middle, and it all started when an old mate was down in the basement doing stuff right before he fell sick, and he was the first one to fall asleep.
Our plan was to go to the tavern, so I think perhaps that will answer a lot of these questions. If there's something strange in the basement, then well, we have a pretty solid idea of where the center is.
We should take the road back into town, and we should check in the basement. I think we should have in the back of our heads the idea that if we can, a tree growing over one of those is good. Maybe collapsing a building on them will be just as good. If we could, throwing them into the middle of the ocean. I don't know.
Growing a tree takes time, and collapsing a building is very quick.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
inclined to agree with you, Mr. Potterton.
Advice for investigators. You know the keeper advice book that Chaos sends to us? We need investigator one, and it's just every page just says
Dynamite.
blow it up. Blow it up.
Yeah.
Blow it up.
You
Blow it
know,
up.
Do some investigation,
Blow it
then blow it
Do
up.
we have dynamite in the 1870s or 1800s? I assume
you
we have
like
gunpowder.
black powder.
We have
Yeah.
black powder.
could we?
We can make a big boom, and we can get men with hammers.
We're
Blow
a
it
bit
up or
short
burn
of
it down.
dynamite. We're closing in on nitroglycerin, I think, but
We
it's
are.
it out. We could. What could we do some kind of, I don't know. It'd be great if we could temporarily open the long corridor again, toss all the capstones in, and be done with the whole thing. But I don't think maybe there's some kind of feedback loop otherwise where we can put them inside themselves, where we can take them and like, if we can get into that blank space, if we can hide them within themselves, patch it all up, close the loops.
Or that would create some kind of infinite loop.
Yeah.
Cursive. So is there anything more you want to do in the woods?
No, I believe we're having this conversation on our way out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Ah, there you go. Ollocks. I looked up, what does an ash tree symbolize?
Yeah, no. That's why I'm like, I think she was saying it in a different way. I think it was a different.
No. The symbol of powerful solidarity and immortality. It has been seen to link to, and even sometimes as a medium between heaven and earth.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
What's your occult
Shit.
skill, Reverend?
Yes.
My occult skill is 35.
Would you give me an occult roll?
Absolutely. Success.
Okay. I will. That information can become character knowledge because yes.
Good.
Ash tree is the
Great.
quote I have here is often associated with a transition between worlds. That's how it's being used in the occult.
Yes. So it's not a protecting thing. It's the other kind.
Well, that's sort of. If it's.
It aids the. She was talking about the long shadow that the ash tree casts.
Maybe
That's
maybe it's a reservoir situation. Genuine. Sorry, I'm flailing in the breeze here, but maybe it's like an antenna, the ash tree, and it's picking up the bad dream vibes and channeling it all down into that space that that we know people can get caught in. And I don't know.
I remain
Alright.
unbothered by maybes at this point. I would like to get into that basement.
Yep. Okay. All right.
We've dithered long enough. I
Dither.
think the ash tree is an avenue that we should absolutely, potentially, when we have more information about what the fuck is going on, go and have a look at, but I don't think we're prepared to deal with it right now. It's one of those things, and you go to, the video game, and you go to an area, and something is like, hello, I'm big and scary, and you don't understand me yet. And you go, ha 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 ha, I'm going this way for a while. I'll come back and deal with you in like 20 hours.
That's not how Jim plays games.
Yeah, no,
Jim, tell them what you would do.
Yeah, I'm quick saving. I'll be here for 12 hours, but I'm killing that.
It's the big gold horseman in Elden Ring. You rock up, you're like, this should be doable. He smashes your face, and you go, all right, there's 2 avenues I can take. Throw myself against this wall until I break it, or run away. I'm the runaway person. I'll go do something else for a while.
Jim tries to roll into a corner until he can glitch out of it. What does that tell you about people? I don't know. Something. There's something there. Figure it out.
Tavern. Let's go.
Go to the tavern. Okay. Leaving the woods, you find your carriage unhampered with. You need to take the horses off. You can just redo it, stow your equipment, and head back into Carriford once more. By the time, given your quote-unquote brief excursion, it's now sunset, and you are all like, stomachs rattling with hunger as you arrive in Tarryford and make your way through town. You get to the outside of the tavern, and you can return your carriage and horses there. Mr. Potterton, you will note that the horse the gentleman you saw ride off on, and you believe to be Mr. Black, is not here. It hasn't returned.
Is there a very quick way that in Tarryford I could quickly, or would there be a service where I could get a message sent to my estate?
Yeah, certainly. Find a person. Okay. Yeah, you just find a guy if you want.
Sweet, yeah. Here's some money. You like money? Would you mind going on a walk?
Oh, yes,
kind of
sir.
Thing. Excellent. I love Regency Cthulhu.
May I have a kiss, sir?
You there?
Oh my. No, I will. I would like to send a message saying I'm a little worried about people going to sleep in the estate before I can have a look at the potential symbol. So can I send a message that I'm hoping will be disseminated to my siblings and stuff, being like, I have news and would like a conversation. Please await me and don't go to bed. Kind of in the frameworks of family meeting time.
Yeah,
no one's allowed to sleep until I get home.
You send it to probably your eldest sister as the most sensible, and can send it to her. You would know the right buttons to push. You probably mentioned something about funds and or betrothal, something along those lines. Honestly, if you say I have an announcement to make, RE Miss Radcliffe, that'd probably get them all up and
yeah. I was gonna go with the angle that I was going to announce that since I was 11 when I had to take over the sort of family estate a bit, and my younger brother is that. I was I've decided that he has a job now, and will be for that was if I had to.
Yeah, you'll send him off to join the whatever. Yeah, it sounds well.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll just ask you to clarify is, to your understanding, Miss Radcliffe is returning to go to sleep, to rest.
Yeah.
But
she knows how to get out, so we're okay.
Yeah, she knows how to get out. Don't worry about waking Miss Radcliffe. This is a family matter.
Okay.
And also because she's already recovered, I think it's reasonable to be well, this is a thing that she's already had, and you can get it once.
Also, we do still think there's a link to the tavern, because as far as I can understand from the ritual, the people who went to sleep needed to have ingested something.
We think they ingested bits of the stuff, but look, extra caution at this point. I'm sending the chain letter being don't sleep.
Okay.
It's bad. Yeah.
All right. The plucky youth races off, all hither and thither. He will
turn around. You see in the background a hawk swoop down.
Let me go.
He's on his own adventure now. It's fine. Leave the boy be.
Just big Miyazaki vibes.
Yeah. So as you arrive at the tavern, you show things, and you can head inside. It settled down a little bit. There is no sound of hammering and things. And Alice Copeland will shortly come up to each of you and offer to draw you food and drink.
I will specify wine.
Okay.
Thank you. I mean, I think I drink wine anyway.
Yeah.
Established that wine was generally the choice for the upper classes, where beer and ale was more for the working class.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That can be procured for you. You can take a seat, and you can probably actually take the table that previously Mr. Black has taken in that sort of like rear corner, which actually affords quite a good view of the area. And sitting there, you can see while it's been cleaned down, there's several like scratches and marks that have been worn into the table where like they've just like stabbed at it with knives and shit while they're sitting there and being menacing. The table is definitely the way.
Does it stink of beer? Have they been drinking beer?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely, you can.
Cool.
I mean, the whole place.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Definitely the main
are there
thing.
any?
So.
You just said something very interesting. You said that they carved into the wood. Any recognizable symbols?
Yeah, having a quick thumb along them. Give me a spot hidden roll.
I'm not good at that. Like, truly terrible. I think it's base. You know.
Okay. You don't see the symbol that you're associating with this mystery carved anywhere. It looks to be, it's like that little S thing you drew in. Like, they're just carving. They just have very little. They're defacing public property, not public property, private property. You know?
Yeah.
Just
actually, probably should have asked if I could have used a cult. I would have failed either way. But
this is more finding anything discernible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Alice comes out with food and thanks you again for Tom's work. He must have finished up a bit earlier.
He has finished already.
Yep.
I presume so. He was working for a while and haven't heard anything. I presume he just sealed it up and left.
I'll just make sure he didn't leave a mess.
Yeah, I would like to look. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll just, as she like whirls around, there's like two of you flying past him towards the cellar, and she just all switching. Right. I'll just put these in the microwave.
I'm terribly sorry, madam. They care very much about the continuation of this establishment and want to make sure that the young man has done the job that he promised us he would do.
Oh, that's a fine
also,
thing, I suppose.
I'm the one who sent him, so I'm kind of responsible for the quality of
as
his
you're
work, and I would
opening
like to
the
verify
cellar
it myself.
Alice has like gotten the bottle out, is showing you the vintage. This is the correct one. Pours the Reverend a glass.
I mean, truthfully, I think like the Reverend at this point is going, well, that was deeply untoward, and someone has to keep faith.
Yeah.
So thank you, madam. I will look at this and ensure it is in fact not corked. Thank you.
Right.
I will remain at the table for the time being, in part also to kind of keep her attention a little bit on me, or like not have it. Hopefully not.
It makes
reassuring presence. I'm good at that. It's my job. I reassure.
I love the mechanization of that in Regency, because it is like you can in a lot of situations feel like, you know, your group is sort of running around being a bit sort of chaotically out of place in the setting, but with Regency it's so mechanized that like, no, you actually need a sort of
actually
like,
need somebody
to be able to smooth
There's
all of that.
I really like it. There's actually and this is kind of the first time we've played with it as a table, but the Arkham book that was released recently has reputation for Arkham too. Like the idea is you have a reputation in the town because you're established people, and I very much want to bring reputation forward into campaigns we continue with.
Yeah,
I think it's just the fun.
Really,
It's really like, you can blow up the place, but like people are beginning to be like, yeah, that's a bad person. They associate with villains and ne'er-do-wells.
Also, like, I don't know.
It arrived yesterday. I was
The
excited.
best!
It's got a bit of shine.
I don't know if etiquette is a skill generally. I think maybe I'm getting my Call of Cthulhu and my Vampire the Masquerade mixed up. But the idea of having like a skill that helps you to determine what the correct approach is in a situation is kind of helpful. I genuinely really like the replacement of psychoanalysis with reassure as like a conceptual thing, because reassure has like more. narratively make sense to use in more situations, where if you're like, no, I'm going to use psychoanalysis to calm someone down, like it doesn't naturally flow.
Arkham has reassuring as well.
There you go.
Good.
His reputation. I'm just looking at how reputation's calculated, because in this it's etiquette and something I've forgotten about.
Credit rating.
Credit rating. That was. It appears to just be a.
I think
yes,
there's also some interesting, like, I think that's an idea that's being put forward into flowing through for more stuff.
I really like.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to, like, you know, video game it, the idea of having different reputations for different factions as well. Like, you have an overall reputation, but maybe your reputation is good with one group and worse with the other. In the same way that, like, the higher your reputation in Regency, the, like, more aligned with the nobility you are, the lower your reputation, the more aligned with the working class you are. And that, like, dichotomy of, like, who you can actually go talk to and will respond to you positively. It's not reputation is good or bad. It's who do you fit in with? And I like that as a...
I think it's great. Yeah, it's very much like, you know, the factions you run with.
We should pin this. Is the man dead?
We should pin this. Can we go into the basement?
No. We should pin this. Is the wine corked?
Make a vintner check. Make an appraise roll, please, Reverend.
Very good. My praise is 5. We'll see if I fumbled it. For the reference, if I fumble this is not a real roll. Yes, we're doing this for the bit.
Fuck
it, let's go.
I'm not committed. I'm gonna give you fumble.
Okay, there we go. No, we're good. I can't tell if it's. I don't know, but I'm also not gonna poison myself.
If you succeeded, I was gonna give you a reputation bump. So I'm thinking if you fumbled, I was gonna give you a reputation penalty. So yeah, you have a little sniff. It's fun. All right, we parked the Reverend there briefly, and
you go on a rant about how it's like a beautiful, like fortified, and then like red wine.
It's white.
It comes out like white.
Yeah, that would be delightfully silly. For the record, the Reverend is not paying attention to the situation, but is sort of providing that, like, my compatriots have just done a very silly thing, and I would like to keep some level of, like, calm in a situation that could very easily turn into get out of my establishment or, like, panic.
Yep, that's great. You've got to, and you can allow them to investigate privately. All right, Mr. Potterton and Miss Wentworth fly past the around the corner and towards the cellar where Mr. Potterton pulls it open, and immediately there's a sort of like roll of cold air that kind of disperses from it, and a smell of some sort of like. To Miss Wentworth, it just feels almost like stale with like a slight fizz underneath it. To Mr. Potterton, you are reminded of the autopsy you were present for. The smell of sort of like, well, either death or the thing that you found in the stomach. Looking down, you see a dark cellar. You can procure a lantern, and who's going down first?
Yeah. I've been wanting to get into this damn basement for days now.
Okay, Mr. Potterton procures a lantern, and Miss Wentworth swipes it and begins to go down the ladder, emerging in the cellar beneath. You find it to be similar shape to how it was previously, with the exception that like low wall has been removed further, and to the rear, where there was that like what looked to be a sealed thing, about half of it, the lower half, has begun to be chipped away and then sections removed. It is not completed. Lying on the ground are 2 bodies, Tom and Dickie. Dickie's foot is across what is now a growing pool of that black ichor that is like spread out along the ground, so that you need to quite carefully tread your way through it. And Tom is actually like half in what looks to be the hole, like as if he was going in to investigate it, and is now lying prone, with some of the liquid just pooling along and past him.
Don't touch the stuff.
No.
Where are you?
Well, this is bad.
Have a look. I'm going to make sure no one else comes down. Don't touch it, and I presume I'm well stocked with handkerchiefs.
If I can do so without touching the black liquid, I'm going to kind of bundle my hands in one of the many layers of my many skirts, and like try and drag them by any appendages not in the liquid out of the liquid. Just like
Dickie's the easier. He seems to just be like lying on the ground. He's actually not in the liquid. at first. You think he isn't touching it, but his foot is just barely against it. And as you grab him and begin to pull him backwards, you'll see that his boots were like well worn and broken open, and there was a break in the like sole of it. And as you pull him back, you can actually see this like of where the ichor looked as though it had like seeped up the heel of the boot and into the hole to touch against skin. And as a sort of stats where you pull him backwards, and you can see now that there is actually just coming up the very inside of his shirt and towards his mouth is this very faint trail of the liquid that seems to be defying gravity, traveling along the vein, like the outside of his skin and into his mouth. As you pull him backwards, his chest rises and falls. He appears to be perfectly fine, just asleep. He is easily removed. Tom is more like through the pool and trying to go down the hole. He's in a bit lesser and easily removed.
There's building tools around. Like I presume we talked about there was a big wall. We were going to need like
they didn't do any cleanup. They've got like sledgehammers, crowbars, water, all the bits and pieces.
We might be able to level him out, but first of all, can I slide back up, back in, like out of the chaos, back into the really like restrained, polite tavern and walk back up to speak to the Reverend? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Miss Copeland says it. You come up, Miss Copeland is just finished pouring it, and you've got now your knife and fork ready for a delicious pie when Mr. Potterton makes his way through. Excuses himself.
I was imagining that there might be still. Like the server might still be there talking about wine. If I need to keep things coded, I would say
that's more fun.
Do we? I was just thinking it might be good to have Winston around as well if he's available. Winston being Dr. Parsons' first name, which I'm hoping that is not commonly known in the town.
Yeah,
I
like that.
And then I'm just going to go back downstairs. But if Winston's around, we should see if he'd like to join us this evening.
Yes, indeed. I will
get the doctor.
I will see if the gentleman is available. Indeed. And I will get up and just say, excuse me a moment, I will be back momentarily. I will put like money on the table for the food. And I will go and find the doctor.
And then hopefully you get the context of there's something happening down there based on that. Yeah.
I mean, I already knew something. Like you two piss bolted. I'm like, okay. Like as soon as she said Tom didn't come back up, I'm like, that's a problem. The Reverend's not stupid. He's just, in fact, he's very clever.
More the confirmation of yes, your suspicions are.
Yes, I see. Yes.
Reverend Training steps up, having nary touched a single pea on the plate. Your stomach growling, but duty calls.
I'm so hungry.
And back out.
Hey, look, I don't know if like fasting was a real common thing in the Christian part, but I'm pretty sure anyone related to religion has every now and again gone, oh, Lent exists. Yeah, so he's used to it, at least in.
Do you like the taste of black slime? Right? If you eat some, it might be the last thing you eat.
All right,
true.
Has medicine reached the point of making people vomit yet? Like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, what are we using for that at this point? Because whatever it is,
a hard punch in the stomach, or the burning of herbs under the nose, probably.
The Reverend takes off out of the tavern and heads for Dr. Parsons. Walking at a brisk pace, it will take you a little while. This is a fairly busy area. It'll take.
We've got we arrived with the carriage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can.
So I will take the carriage because I have someone that I wish to bring back with me at quite a decent pace.
At a pace.
I'm not going to obviously go recklessly, but I will use the carriage to get there faster.
It's actually now looking at the across to the map. It's actually not.
Anyway, it's not.
But yeah, you can.
I will take the carriage regardless on the off chance that we need to move some bodies.
All the same. Yep. You get that and begin to head out. Mr. Potterton, you return back to the top of the stairs, where underneath, Miss Wentworth, what are you getting up to?
Well, there's not really, I can't figure out a way to get Tom out of the hole. But, keeping all of my flesh covered, which is actually very easy for me.
Let's make this even clearer. So, what's happened is, like, the ground remains level, and then there is now a hole about 1.5 feet high in the wall, which appears to go up higher into a full doorway, but it goes down into the ground. It looks like this then goes off and then like goes down, and he's like scrolled in to
Like
go
a pit.
underneath.
Great.
You can also see that the liquid is definitely pooling out from underneath it. Maybe if you can like peek around and grab his shirt, you could just haul him back, but he's kind of rough. He might get dinged up a bit on the release.
I think that's okay. I'm willing to ding Tom up a little bit to get him out of the hole and out of the pool of liquid. I will put down like if they'll have like rags and drop cloths and that sort of thing with them as part of the construction gear. So I will like dump shit on the ground to kind of dam it up as much as I can and get Tom out of the hole, even if it does mean dinging him up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm really just not convinced that the hole is where he should be right now.
Look.
And lay them both out kind of next to each other on the floor, away from the black ichor.
I'll just ask you to give me a strength roll to haul him up and out.
Can the tools be used to grant a bonus die here, like the Jimmy bar? Or something?
There's like stuff around. Yeah, I think that's reasonable actually. Yeah,
pretty.
Go ahead and take a bonus dice on that.
Let's just see how we go. I'm succeeding.
Okay, nice.
I'm succeeding.
So you are able to, using some of the tools and using your own strength, you just get the back and pull him out of it. As you do, you see a smear of black liquid that goes down the back of his like shirt and across his head as you pull him out. It sort of like gets smoothed flat by the rough stone. It sort of scratches him a little bit, but nothing significant. You'll find him also just asleep, and you quickly roll him away from the ichor into the side. You may want to start to you can try to kind of clear it off them, because it kind of like begins to just like stain across in like paint, grease paint. As you pull him out though, noting that's on the back, you pull him across to the side. As Mr. Potterton, you rejoin and close the cellar behind you, and it's the two of you and the two bodies propped up against the side, well away from the pool.
I do a minor thing to block it so that no one can walk in at an opportune time.
Okay.
Like I literally just brute something through it.
Yeah, you can take one of the tools, you jam a chisel across the whole thing. Anyone who wants to spend, they will right away go, oh, it's blocked. If they give it a wrench, it will open. More than that will be like mechanical repair.
5 seconds to be able to get like off the body or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You do that. So as you pull them across the property, both of them appear to just be asleep. As you look at the opening, you can now see that there is a 1.5 foot high crack in the ground, and it goes down into a tunnel, which seems to continue further under the earth. You will both remark that the pool of liquid, the like trail of it that is seeping out, is not running along. It's a tunnel going down. So that doesn't make sense. It's running up, and it's running up the roof of it as it gets to the highest point, and then off camera.
Dripping.
It goes up and then drips down onto the pool, which spreads. So when he got pulled out, it was going along his back.
Oh.
And you could see where it must have dripped down and touched his head or something, and then gone down and ultimately.
We've seen this thing rise to the top of jars. How well sealed is the roof here?
Looking around, I mean, it's a cellar. It's
not
wooden boards at one point. Yeah, actually, that's not true. It's probably pretty thick because this is supposed to keep it cold and stuff. You go down a little ways to get in here. The weak point would be the hatch, but it's not watertight. Like stuff would drip through.
Since I'm riding,
the stuff on the ground does not currently seem to be trying to go up the sides.
All the same, assuming I have riding gloves because I was riding or something like that, slip those on, try and keep stuff on my skin. I'd like to find a tarp or some kind of like large sheet that I can just spread out over the thing. So if it does start to rise, hopefully it's just going to hit the top of the blanket. Minor measure.
There's no like wax cloth or anything. It's just cloth. You spread it across it, but the liquid will quickly begin to just soak through it. It's halting it. It's slowing it. It's keeping it in the direction, but it's not enough. This is like quite a large and it's very
We're not going to
viscous.
stop it. We just want to slow it down as much as we can while we think about like what the hell we're gonna do with this.
How? Just not that I'm in the scene, but I'm curious. There was some liquid that had already started to pool when we first went down and inspected the cellar.
Yeah.
And obviously, like taking into account that we've now opened a wider hole, is the pool quite a bit larger than it was, or is it about the same?
I'd say it's moderately larger. It is definitely larger, but it's not like it's flooded the area. It's just grown.
So, like, if we're worried about, the fact that it could potentially get through the cellar, we're expecting it to at least, partially. I would expect that it would need to partially flood the area, or at least fill the floor before it rises the walls.
It hasn't even reached the walls yet. It'd probably be like at this rate. I mean, you're guesstimating. Actually, I would probably need an intelligence roll from someone to try and calculate that, or some sort of science, like natural.
I'll fire through a natural philosophy.
Yeah, you do that. You do that. I'm not. I no. Negative. It's astonishing I passed that strength check, honestly.
At some moderate, light calculations of it, you reckon at the current rate, if it holds, etc., quite a few caveats in this, and assuming that the rule is it gets to the wall and then goes up, it'd be a few days before it reaches that side. No, you've only got 2 points to calculate. The first time you've seen it and now. So you don't know if it's accelerating, and you don't know if it can decide to
We've done this kind of thing with the long corridor,
and that
working out how quickly.
But you kind of need it together.
Just mean more polynomial. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly.
We need to get the referent.
We need the doctor, and it's touching their skin. It's when it touches the skin. It's like it's moving towards their skin and trying to get within their clothes.
I think I stutter. I think George is genuinely. Do you want a sanity check from us?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this kind of sucks, hey.
Dave, did you say that the ichor looked like it had gotten into Dickie's mouth?
It had gone in. It looked like it had broken in through like a hole in his. He possibly stood in the pool in boots, but there was a hole in them, and then it went up his leg and all the way up to his mouth. A single long.
So yes, it's ingesting.
And would that then be similar for Tom? Like,
well, it's all over his face.
Tom,
and
it
back,
dropped on his back and then gone down into his mouth as well.
So
it's ingesting.
So ingestion is still the main.
That's the main one. Here's the thing: there is a chance they fell asleep before then, and it continued to travel. It may be contact.
It looks like it's going for skin and then travels towards being ingested.
Okay, on a failure, can I ask? This is factoring in seeing the liquid kind of coming up around the scene and finding these two people asleep. I'm gonna do let's do a D3 to each. You both failed, right? Yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
I actually have a rather odd question.
The only other thing I'll say before you make a plan is also standing by here, you can feel this void space in that tunnel below. It just feels like a vacuum. You're not being pulled into it, but there's not actually much of a smell coming from it. It's like a fridge opened with nothing in it. There's just emptiness further down. You almost have to put a hand in to feel what it feels like.
Nope. I'm really not. I assure you I am not.
I'll wait for the Reverend. I think I kind of sort of I'm trying to get out of the room as best I can. Do
you want to leave?
Unless you say anything to be like, what? Hang on a second. I probably do, just because I'm the sanity check result. Sort of. There's the involuntary action with a failed sanity roll. So yeah, maybe just you step up and I need to take a moment.
I'm probably not leaving the basement yet, but I will be backing the hell up away from that hole.
Yeah. Okay. So we're kind of stalling for a moment until the Reverend thing. Okay. All right, we'll go back to the Reverend, who has just pulled the carriage up in front of Dr. Parsons' surgery. Going to the door to knock on it, you will be received by Mrs. Parsons. Evening, Reverend.
Good evening, Mrs. Parsons. I was wondering if your fine husband was available.
He's taking a much-needed rest. I'm loath to wake him. He hasn't slept much in the last few days. Been very busy.
I understand that, madam. Unfortunately, I think there may be some people who have become afflicted with this illness that he has taken an interest in very recently, and I understand. Truly, I do understand and would not ask if it were not quite so dire. Would you be so kind as to call him?
Would I ask you to make it?
Certainly. Give you a persuade, because I feel like that is honestly the line that the Reverend takes most of the time.
Can I get either 8 points of luck, or I'm happy to just do this as success with a reputation hit, as you kind of push the matter, make it a bit more of a, like, call on his duty. And overstep a little.
You know what? I think in this respect, yeah, the reputation's fine. I'm not super Actually, do I get to know like how bad this is?
It'll be a roll. Even on a success, you'll lose a point. On a failure, you'll lose possibly.
I will take the potential of I'll make a reputation roll to see if I can like push.
Go to make a reputation roll. As you kind of go like, I'm kind of not asking. I'm telling him to get up and do his job.
Hard success.
Okay, still take a point as you kind of don't push, and a little bit she doesn't love the way the conversation unfolds, but she a little bit goes like, yes, well then, we hate to not fulfill our duties. She will head inside and go to rouse the doctor. A beat or two passes.
I hope he's able to wait.
Oh no, I'm honestly, when she said he's sleeping, my brain immediately went,
yeah. Bummer. Okay. We may have lost the doctor.
I will give it a few moments because I don't really, like, at this point, I don't want to risk my reputation any further because I don't really want to, like, push it, but so I will wait to see. She said a couple of beats. That's not that long.
Yep, okay. You wait a little more, pacing, and then she comes back down alone. She is pale. She's looking and she goes, Reverend, I think, if you'd come with me.
Yeah. I'm so glad we split the party now.
I will look at her, and knowing that I just lent very heavily on the reputation side of things, I will say, I'm at your disposal, madam, and I am terribly sorry.
She leads you towards the stairs and goes up them. There you find on a bed, tucked in, and it's in like undershirt equivalent, like he didn't fully get in his jammies. It was probably a nap that went a little long. Dr. Parsons laid out. He looks quite unwell. He'd basically been running without sleep for like a day or so, possibly more, as he was trying to fulfill this, and he looks completely exhausted. That said, he looks only to be asleep, but as Mrs. Parsons goes across and attempts to rouse him, there is no reaction, and she looks at you. What can be done?
There are a few things we can try, but unfortunately your husband had not come across anything that was a perfect solution.
This was only affecting the lower class, though. This wasn't affecting the politer folk.
Many things start with those less fortunate, for they are the ones that, for want of a better term, have to do the dirty work. But just because it starts there doesn't mean that the rest of us are immune.
Reverend, I'll ask you, you wake him now. You do whatever you need to do. You get me my husband back now.
I will do everything in my power, Mom, to bring your husband back. I need you more than anything in this moment, madam. Please remain calm.
This isn't some laundry worker or some upstart merchant elevated above his position. This is my husband. He's a notable person in town. He's an important person in town. He's needed.
Madam, your husband is incredibly important, and I feel the weight of all of your words. I ask, as a reverend and as a friend of both your husband and I hope yourself, madam, please remain calm. I will do everything in my power. If you would ask your house servants, whatever the term is,
yes.
For broth.
Yes. We'll see.
So that we can keep him hydrated and hale. And madam, if I may ask one more thing of you in this moment, would you pray?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Yes.
God is here with us, and he is listening, and he does care. I'm trying very hard to reassure this woman and get her to just not have a panic attack.
Go ahead and give me a reassure roll, please.
Sure, let's see if this is any decent. Success.
You kind of tamp down some of the reputation change, like that position of authority, and kind of, as you said, reiterate, like, now I'm at your disposal a little bit. She sits down next to her husband, takes his arm, and will begin to pay. They are not super well off, but they would have a member of staff, a servant, who can tend to broth and things. She will also, with that success, kind of do a handover of, do whatever you need to do. Here's the key, literally, to his study. Like, do what you need to do. And she's also being really clear. There's definitely some, like, I wasn't subtle about it. I'm sure you picked it. She's very classist. She's like, this is priority, right? Like, the people, this is like, for real though, actually fix this, okay?
Yeah. And I think, like, part of that reassure is me saying to her, like, I see where you are coming from. I very specifically, like, it's the empathy without agreement. I can empathize with your situation without necessarily agreeing with it myself. At the root of this is a woman who loves her husband, and also her husband is kind of a key to her having some level of, like, status.
Yeah.
She does not wish to lose that. She doesn't wish to lose her husband, probably just because, you know, he's her husband. She probably kind of likes him, at least minimally. So part of that reassure was going, I see, like, I see underneath that fear, and I recognize that there is a fear there more than just, this shouldn't be happening to, like, my husband. It's like, this shouldn't be happening to me. This shouldn't be happening to, like, I don't want to lose my position. All that is, like, recognized in that reassure, ideally, is what I was aiming for. And yes, I will treat it. I will I would ask if the servant
would you
of
fetch
the
a
house
boy
wants,
off the street?
Could you please send a message to the tavern saying that I will pen a note. Was it Winston was his name?
You can say a note will be passed privately. You wouldn't expect anyone to. Sorry, you can use code as well. It is Winston.
Actually, Winston, is it Havering?
Nathaniel Havering is the.
Sorry, so
Parsons. Winston Parsons.
Parsons.
And Abigail is his wife.
Yes. I will pen a note that just says, the doctor is sleeping far deeper than necessary. Oh, the doctor is sleeping deeply.
We'll get it.
I will be a while.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, I am delayed. The doctor is sleeping. Will be what I said.
Yes. Perfect.
And have that run to the tavern.
The only thing I'm just going to let you know before this goes further. Mrs. Parsons is intending to escalate this to Mr. Asher pretty soon. Yeah. She's like, come tomorrow. Like, I'll speak with him. This is, like, town problem, you know?
Yeah.
And she kind of doesn't, possibly should have been escalated. This is no longer like a thing that some people are affecting. As far as she's concerned, this has crept up into the, you know, pseudo entry.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before it gets further.
Just because I as a player am wondering if my character has any different, like, context. Is escalating to Asher going to be like, is that a bad thing? Is he going to
It's probably the right thing. It's do you want to do this as a secret thing or as a, like, okay, what are we doing as a town? More people are going to be getting involved. It's not going to be a private thing. Like, there is a risk of, I mean, a little bit as you know, getting, like, Tom and Dickie in to do it. They kind of didn't maybe treat it as seriously as they should have, and now they're asleep. Maybe that's a risk to it. So more people getting in, chance it spreads faster. There's unknowns. The other side, maybe they legitimize your investigation. There's also a chance they're dismissive with it. They probably won't buy into the occult nature of anything. And you know Mr. Asher to be very religious. Like, he really wanted to be a priest or a reverend. So he's going to possibly be like, all right, it's an all-night vigil. You know, that's what needs to be done here. Get everyone into the churches and we'll pray.
frankly, getting everyone off the like into the churches is not going to be that puts everyone at least somewhere else. But okay, thank you. That was something to think about. I'm not going to deal with that right now. If she's given me till morning, regardless. I am going to. Frankly, I'm going to send for herbs.
Okay.
Send for the kind of thing that we were sort of like. I assume when she said burn herbs, when Old Meg said burn herbs, like, would we know what she meant by that?
You can get like bits and pieces. She didn't give you a shopping list.
No.
That was also before you'd given her the full context of the situation,
true.
or she'd accepted it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I am.
Dr. Parsons
going to...
attempted a lot of herbs things, a lot of things.
That's,
like he kind of ran through all that, and you can get his note verified.
I'm still going to there are some things that I think will not work. I am still going to do them because I want Mrs. Parsons to believe that things are being done so that she does not.
You can give her a few
escalate
things to do too. You can be like, hey, try this. So, do you want to go and look through his notes and things, or do you kind of stay here and assist, or what's your what are you looking to accomplish in the next few?
I am going to set Mrs. Parsons to do a few things, feet in broth, make sure that he is looked after. I ask her to pay attention to if he says anything in his sleep. The line being, we know that some people afflicted were talking in their sleep, and if this is the same thing, which we're not entirely sure of yet, but believe it to be the case, this will help us confirm it's the same thing, is the line I'm taking with her. But I am curious whether we are able to confirm he's in the same place. I will I'm not very good at lying, so I don't think I'm going to go down that route. I will then go and look at his notes, see what I can find there before coming back and potentially trying a few things without her present.
Okay. She'll probably stay here through the night. Getting rid of her will be a bit of a to-do maybe, but you can try that when you do. So then what I'll just do, as you can give her some things to do and then eventually head downstairs to look at the notes. Most important thing you're going to note is that he has updated his notes with time. He has recorded that he's identified another 5 people that have fallen asleep in the last day.
Shit.
You have names and addresses. It's more people working people within Tarryford. He also documents a few more attempts at things, and he mentions that he did some further study on the substance found in Mr. Copeland's stomach. Which is off towards the side. He also basically just says, you can see his note writing getting sloppier and sloppier. He was exhausted by this point already, and then ultimately, it's not recorded and they'll go have a nap. He just put his pen down, went to have a rest, and
the experiments that he's doing on the substance. Does he note anything of note about what he was trying, and is the substance in a jar, or do I not?
Substance is in a jar. He did a number of tests, pricking it with a scalpel, moving it around, trying to get a sense of the viscosity. He remarks, it seems to be to not defy Mr. Isaac's or whatever Newton, whatever laws of gravity. He seems to be staunchly defiant of it. And he did a couple heat tests and things. Running over there, do you have natural philosophy?
I do, yes. Not quite as good as Mr. Potterton, but I do have natural philosophy.
I'll ask you to make a roll just if you could.
Oh, sure. Somehow magically I passed that.
You don't find anything more than he's kind of studying.
Would a hard success help in this situation, or just
probably not? This is getting success. What you'll notice is that some of his tests involved him taking the substance out of the tube. There's a chance he came into contact with it, especially in a heavily sleep-deprived state.
Yeah. Okay. So outside of the extra people and the fact that he was doing tests, there's nothing else kind of specifically different to what we already know.
His note taking is actually getting weaker as he got more tired. It's more just checked in on one of the boy that's staying with the Reverend. Nothing changed. He's not writing down anything. He's just kind of hitting boxes, going between places. Clearly run of his.
That's good to know. Oh, I did. I actually did. There was a specific thing I was wondering if the doctor did know, and I'm wondering if he noted it at any point. That ichor was found in the stomach of Copeland.
Yes, right. And in the stomach of the other gentleman.
Yes. Was that... I don't know whether this is something he would have looked for. So if he doesn't note it, then it's still a question mark. For the people who woke, was there any black liquid on staining the sheets, something to that effect? Like, was waking an expulsion, or...
He hasn't noted it, and the only two people, it was Maggie and Jane, have not... Maggie hasn't been inspected, and Jane didn't remark about it.
That may be a question for Mr. Potterton's staff, and potentially Maggie directly. All right. Mostly I'm trying to work out whether drinking this liquid, like, removes it from your stomach, and therefore, like, that's... Or whether it is you return, but it's still within you, and then that's a different scenario.
All right, so we're going to leave the Reverend there, and aware of the time. So with the Reverend parked at the house of Dr. Parsons, poring over the sun of the... with Mr. Potterton and Miss Wentworth underneath the cellar, with Tom and Dickie pressed up towards the side, and with the vacuous tunnel open beneath. Jim, do you want to add something?
If I can just add a sort of final note. If we're left there for a while, sort of sitting, waiting,
yes,
kind of pacing back and forth, I've got a bit of a cult.
Yeah, I'll be damming things up, so I won't be sitting waiting, but I'll be damming things up as much as I can.
I'm helping, but not enough. I've got a cult skill which I might mention quickly. It's the, do you know, Cowley, I think. Prays for the fountain opened.
Crowley. Alistair Crowley?
Not Crowley, no. It's Cowper. Cowper. He wrote... he's an Anglican, a priest. He worked with... there is a fountain filled with blood. He writes something like this. And then just to set the thing, it's real thing by an Anglican guy who was alive at the time.
I'm aware of it. Emma won't be.
Yeah. Just fun little creepy anecdote. Just go and recite that as we work.
And as the two of you go, set to task of, and to be clear, damning, not opening.
Oh God, yes. But like not permanently closing it up. I just don't have those skills.
I think it's like stack, like it's just still making
trying
sure
to stop
spreading. Yeah.
the spread as much as possible.
And preparing to try and seal it up. Elsewhere, Jane Radcliffe returns.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
We'll clarify. You know,
I have other.
We can clarify that next episode. So we elsewhere, Miss Radcliffe, in theory, returns to the Potterton estate, but we'll check in on her soon. We are going to leave the session there to pick up shortly. Two things of note before we leave. One is there will be no episode next week, as both Jim and I are away over the weekend, and it simply kills the thing. I think Alex also possibly had a chance of being away as well.
I'm also away, yes. I was going to dial in from Brisbane, but no, I'm away.
Yeah, we call that a killer. And I believe the following one, Art, we're going to be down you. So we might actually leave the Reverend studying, and if you want to give me a little wish list of things to accomplish, they can check in on you and glean some extra information.
I will happily say that if the party goes off and does some stuff, I would definitely be with the doctor, and depending on how well that goes, I may disappear to the North Lake Library to do some research as a like, is there more I can find here if the stuff with the doctor doesn't go well, and whether or not that gets me into hot water with what I have to share, I don't know. But
fantastic. Yeah.
Put me in the books, Dave. Put me in the books.
Leave me in the library. Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you all for playing. We will not be back next week, but we will be back the following. So we hope we'll see you then. Yes, all except
I'll see you in 3 weeks.
It will look a lot like Jackson that week. That's just how it works. Okay. Fantastic. We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.